What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're all doing great today. Exile451 back here with you for another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Got a few new ones out of r/wholesome stories today that I'm sure you're going to love. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Now sit back, relax, and let's hear the wholesome. Basketball coach. Okay, I just wanted to share about my basketball coach, who is probably one of the main reasons I'm still here today. To preface this, let me tell you a little about myself. Just to paint the picture a little better, I have gross and fine motor delay, and multiple physical issues in my leg muscles, joints, and spine, all of which contribute to making me an incredibly unathletic and uncoordinated person. In other words, I am not someone who should still be on a basketball team. So, when I went out for my basketball team the spring before my high school year, I was trying to be realistic. I knew I would be cut in the fall, but I wanted to enjoy what time I had left with my favorite sport. However, my coach had other ideas. She would show up early to help me work on my shooting form and stay late to make sure I understood a play, even if that meant having me follow behind her in the middle of a drill so I could see how I should be moving. Something that's really helpful for me because I have issues understanding how to move myself. However, even with all that extra work, I was still the last person off the bench. When the time came for my post-season meeting, my coach cried when she told me I was going to be cut. And I've never heard someone say yes faster than she did after I asked if I could manage the team. And not a day has passed by where she has not told me that she appreciates me. She celebrates my achievements, encourages me through my hardest times, and never fails to have my back. Even though I'm just a manager, she will do anything to make me feel as if I were as much a part of the team as one of the players, including having me let her as a varsity athlete, despite my 0 minutes playing the game. There are very few people in my life who I respect as much as her. Wow, OP, that is a great story. What a wonderful coach. What a great defining thing to have happen to you so early in life. It just goes to show there really are good, dedicated, and professional coaches and teachers who just want to see the best for the people that they're working with. Thank you so much for sharing, and I'm so happy that you've had this wonderful experience. Made a little girl's day by whistling. I've been listening to and reading Reddit for a while now, but never really thought I would post something. But I have a story I thought was too cute to not share. This takes place a couple of years ago, when the Hunger Games were super popular and the first movies had come out recently. I liked them okay, but was and still am not a real fan. But I knew the 4-note whistle and mockingjays in the first movie. So my parents and I were out at a fast food Italian place. We were in the sit-down part, waiting for the food, and I hear a little girl, 6 to 8 maybe, talking away about Hunger Games and asks her dad to do the whistle. I hear the 4-note whistle, and I get an idea. So I repeat it. I hear the little girl gasp, and her dad say, "Did you hear that? Oh, there must be a mockingjay in here." So now, for the next 45 minutes to an hour, the little girl continuously asks her dad to do the whistle again. And I repeat it back even after the food comes, each time the girl giggling afterward. They eventually finish their food and go to leave. And I hear the girl, "Can you do it just one more time, Daddy? Please?" Now, I am able to see them since they are by the door. He looks down at his daughter. I don't know if the mockingjay is still here. And of course, the little girl gives the biggest, cutest eyes ever. So, he does it one last time. And I look right at him and whistle back. He smiles while his little girl squeals with joy and they leave. Best day ever. I'm with you on the Hunger Games. I'm not really a fan. In fact, I've always found their premise to be horrifying. But that aside, that is a wonderful, beautiful story of how just even the smallest thing can change someone's entire day. That little girl still probably remembers that small little act that you did, even though she didn't know it was you. And her dad was probably super grateful for making his daughter's day like that. Thank you so much for sharing, and thank you for just going even a little bit out of your way to make someone's day. Story of the only time I ever cried because something was just so sweet and pure. I worked as a waitress for 8 years, but moved on after I decided to go back to college a few years ago. I had a family that used to come in pretty regularly. It was a mom, dad, and 2 boys. One was about 5 or 6, and the other was around 7 or 8. The parents were lovely people. Very sweet, very polite, and just extremely pleasant to be around. The kids were just solid gold. They had the best manners I've ever seen any kids have. And they were just wonderful. It was pretty obvious that the boys were adopted because both parents were white, light-haired, and blue-eyed, but both of the boys were black. They seemed like a genuinely happy family. I had waited on this family several times and got to know them a little bit. One evening, they came in and had their meals, then ordered dessert. It was out of the ordinary because in all of the times I've waited on them, they had never gotten dessert. But I don't think much of it and go and fix their desserts and bring them out. As I'm serving them, the younger boy says to me, "We're having dessert because we're celebrating." Me, "Well, that's cool. What are you celebrating?" The older boy says, "It's our anniversary. It's been 1 year since we became a family." Both of the boys just looked so happy and sweet, and the parents looked so proud. They were all smiles, and it was beautiful. Me, "That's so awesome. Congratulations." After I get back to the kitchen, I have to take a minute to dab at the tears of joy and happiness that have sprung up. This happened about 10 years ago. I've seen the family several times since, and they are still just awesome. The last time I saw them was about a year ago. Both of the boys are teenagers now, and they seem like they are genuinely great kids. Oh, P, that is a beautiful story. You know, in this day and age when the family seems to be something that isn't quite as important as it used to be, it's nice to see that family still means something to some people out there. And it's even more special because these aren't their kids, and yet they have brought them into their family and treat them as though they are their own biological children. Those sorts of stories, those sorts of people need to be celebrated, and far too often they're overlooked. So thank you so much for sharing this story and for being a friend to them where they felt like they could share this information with you. This is a beautiful, heartwarming story, and I'm so thankful that you were willing to share it. Post office story. This is a small little story that I think about when I just feel awful, so I wanted to share it. I was 17 and a senior in high school. School was already close to ending anyway, and at this point, since moving into this new town almost 2 years ago, I didn't really have any friends in my town. I had people I would talk to in class, if asked to speak, but I had never been asked to do anything more, plus all my friends were online. I was incredibly shy, and would always come off as very intense and mean, but I was just plain scared of being judged. Since I had an abundance of free time and didn't want to tell anyone of my cosplay hobby, I was incredibly lonely and critical of my worth. Sure, I felt confident in cosplay, but just being me felt like even breathing was a mistake, and that I was just a smear in everyone's life. I was going to the post office to deliver mail to my pen pals when a lady inside had dropped a few of her packages. I immediately pocketed my letters and picked up some of the stuff she dropped. She just stared at me, and my brain went into panic mode, thinking I did something wrong. A lot of stuff went through my head that picked me apart, and my mood dropped considerably until she spoke up. "I'm so sorry. You just look like someone I know. A friend of my daughter's." She then proceeds to tell me about her 30-year-old daughter and the girl who I reminded her of. She said she would help her daughter swim over the summers and how they were inseparable. Just seeing her talk about the love she had for her child and how much joy she had in her eyes infected me in the best way. We actually had a bit of a conversation waiting in line as well. And what she said at the end made me feel so much happier about leaving the house that day. "You're such a sweet and beautiful girl. I know you'll do well in life and be happy." It just really helped. Being in such a rut and unable to get out of bed for the last week save for school, only to hear that, made me feel just better. I just felt good and warm and okay with myself. I know it was just a stranger and just a lady I saw in my town, but no one has ever really said that to me before with just a few moments of interaction. It was good. I don't really care if you believe what I say, but I just really hope that lady is good right now. That she's spending her days taking it easy and speaking with her daughter. Oh, P, that is just such a sweet, moving, beautiful story of how even the smallest compliment can change someone's entire mood. And how we never know what someone else is going through and how important it is to just be kind to everyone. Don't ever question your worth. Don't ever feel like you're not worth anything or that you're just a smear in people's life, because you aren't. Thank you so much for sharing, and I'm so grateful that you had this moving experience with a complete stranger. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm so grateful for all the views, likes, shares, everything you guys have done to promote the channel. We're closing in on 100 subs, and I've got a little surprise planned for when we get there. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.